As you might be able to hear out the window here, it is raining cats and dogs. That's it's an ancient expression. It's a stupid expression because if it were raining that, it would be much louder. I think more heavy thuds as the bigger breeds hit the ground. Cats generally land on their paws. But that's not why I'm here today. That's not what we're talking about. So don't run away. Don't run away. Please. I've been reined in here for the most part over the last several days. It's like seriously coming down. Not California style coming down, more like Oregon coming down. We're ready for it around here, and our topography is well used to this kind of thing. This is what we get in the wintertime. You know, we just get a pounding of water, and everything turns really green, and it's really nice. But it also just prevents you from wanting to do or go anywhere. You know, you just, you hunker down and you listen to the rain hit the side of the house and hope that it doesn't blow too much off of your house, that you can try to fix it before the next river of rain comes through. Welcome to the 2023 River of Rain season. I've been digging through all of my DVDs, and I've been packing them up because I've been taking the shelving units that I had in here and removing those. The idea being that instead of having a bunch of sort of IKEA style shelving units that I've picked up here and there that are double stacked with DVDs. That means there's like 2 layers of DVDs, you know, in each cabinet. What I'm going to do is put up tracks and put up shelving and put them single depth and utilize the space much more efficiently. But it's been an absolute it's been a lot like Tetris. It's been a lot like that. And speaking of Tetris, being an old game, a good game, do you like old games? Do you like old good games? Do you like a bunch of crap you've probably never played before and would only play once? Well, you're in luck. No, I ordered something off of Amazon specifically because I wanted to see it for myself, and because in the last several weeks, as I have gotten more revved up on my 16-bit system again, some of the reselling and thrifting of like 16-bit cartridges, at least for Genesis, has been really difficult. We have a few outlets here. I have one place here in South that has, it's called Game Crazy, and they're awesome. And their prices are good. The prices are competitive. But when it comes to, say, a copy of Shinobi 3, or, you know, Shadow Dancer, which is another one of the Shinobi games. Shout out to Nazar. When it comes to trying to pick those up, as you can see sometimes on, you know, even sites like eBay and stuff, they're fetching a ridiculous price. So I was trying to figure my way out around that, and I've got several carts of games which I really love. I finally recaptured my beloved twin Cobra, and I have 588 Attack Sub and some of the other EA games that were kind of cool at the time, like Jungle Strike and Urban Strike and things of that nature. But again, if you're trying to find those cartridges, they can be $10 and up without any manuals, without any cases, with nothing. Just and beat labels like it's been in the basement of a flooded house, which it probably has given its age, right? So I was like, oh, I just, there are certain games I would love to hunt down again, but I am not going to pay $80 for a copy of Shinobi. I'm not going to, that's highway robbery for these games. And some of them are even still fetching half their original MSRP. All these years later, we're talking about stuff that was out in the early 90s, so I know supply and demand is the end all be all of pricing for anything like this. But I was just thinking, like, how can I get around this? What if I was a gamer who had himself a Genesis, an OG Genesis? What are my options? So in researching, I found out that there are these things from a company called is it Pixel Kid, Data Kid, something like that. And I believe they're made in China, but I got mine through Amazon. So that is a legal sales source as far as I know. So I would like to say right now as a disclaimer, as far as I'm aware, this is a legal product coming in from wherever it comes into. The company is hugely represented on Amazon's website, and so if there is something patently illegal about this, I apologize. But if you are a original 16-bit game system holder out there, Genesis this may be a way for you to get around the absolutely insane 16-bit resale market. Okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here in all of its pink plastic glory, and I think you can get these with a solid case, like a black repro case if you want them. But here is the 196 in one, as you see there, and 16-bit game cartridge. They have a Street Fighter graphic on here, but I'm going to tell you that is probably one of the only misleading things about this. Otherwise, it actually works really, really well. The screws on the back are the standard cart issue, so if you do need to open this up, that's how you do it. The casing is very nice and solid, and on the inside here you can see how they get around doing some of the wizardry that they perform by having this only one cart and 196 games on it. Essentially what you've got in here is a beefed up printed circuit board with the access port down here on the bottom, and this white and silver bit here is the battery for the save states that you can create on a couple of the games, not every one of them. So unlike if you buy a mini Genesis from At Games, I think they were, that mini line, you can hack that with the ROMs that are on here. But again, if you're just a game player, if you're not a techno wizard and you just really don't want to be bothered, say you're an old codger like me, and you want to just play some 16-bit games of your youth that you used to rent, and you thought you hated it back then, you want to see if you hate it again now, this is a fantastic way to do that. There are no manuals, there are no boxes with this. It came in a sort of a clear plastic square semi hard shell case, so you can keep it out of the dust. But otherwise, this is what came in the mailer. Okay. It does have, in fact, 196 games on it. It has lots and lots of licensed games, and I don't know if the way to do this is necessarily legal, but again, it's happening in China. This was not illegal. I bought this off Amazon. So go bust the seller, man. It was available and I picked it up. Anyway, it has all the Strike games. It has all of the original great stuff that you loved about this system. Missing a few key titles, of course, but for the most part, they all work. Here, let me show it to you. When you start out the cartridge, this is the menu system. It boots up instantaneously, and as you go through each of these title names, you'll see in the middle is the color, sales tile, if you will, of the game in question, which is nice. All of these do work, even though some are strongly licensed properties, I would imagine still. I'm just going to give you a quick look through all of the title names and just talk about a few of them as I see. I have tried booting up just about all of these titles. The one that does not boot up, of course, is Ghostbusters. That's the only one I have found so far which has any issues whatsoever. I wasn't a big fan of this Castlevania Bloodlines because it feels like there's some input lag on it. But maybe I'm incorrect and that's how I felt back in the day. I can't recall. But most of these which I have played actually played just like the carts that I own already, such as GameSpot. Cool Spot game here is a platformer. It's probably my favorite platformer of all time. And I tried that out. It works just fine. And let's see what else is in here. I tried Desert Strike, I think, which is another one which I own on regular cart, and it booted up and played exactly the same as it should. Some of these on here that you'll see, such as Donkey Kong, I have not tried out, but that is not a program which was ever available for the Genesis. It is a hack, and from what I understand, they're not all that good anyway. But this is why I'm saying this is a good collection. Stuff like Dune, The Battle for Arrakis. Those are hard to come by. Generally, you find them with manual and case going well into the $60s and $80 range sometimes. It's insane, and it's an RTS, real-time strategy game, which you play with a Genesis controller, so it has about the finesse of removing a dent from your fender with a ball-peen hammer. So it's not a game that you're going to want to go out and blow a ton of money on if you just want to try to learn how to play it, because you couldn't play it when you were a kid. You couldn't figure it out. And in the case of Dune, there is a tutorial in the game, so the lack of manual is actually quite all right. And then all of these manuals, by the way, are available as Adobe Reader stuff. So if there are things that you want to find instruction for, you can. It's the internet, baby. But there are games like Earthworm Jim and Earthworm Jim 2, which were a lot of fun to play. A lot of personality in these platformers, and it was really the most attractive stuff on the platform. Let's see, what else is going on this thing? Eternal Champions, I played the piss out of this when I was a kid, but also really interesting, I see they have Flashback on here, which was an extremely ambitious platformer for the time. And I've started to get into that a little bit. There's a lot of shooters, and then there's also a lot of fun stuff like Gain Ground and General Chaos, which is a super fun sort of action strategy game. Like I said, the Ghostbusters does not load up. Total shame. Ghouls and Ghosts, it's such an ass kicker, there's no way I'm loading it up. But you also have like Golden Axe 1 through 3. You have lots of shooters on here. Gunstar Heroes, which is a platform shooter a little along the lines of, like, say, Metal Slug. Herzog Zwei is on here. That's sort of a Transformers sort of thing, where you can transform from a airplane into a robot and take on these things that are on the ground. It's really neat. 16-bit gaming really had a lot of good stuff. But there's stuff like Jungle Book and Jungle Strike. The Jurassic Park games, which when I was a kid were so frustrating, but here they are, and I can try them out as an adult, which will probably frustrate me worse. Justice League, which was a fighting game featuring the 90s versions of like Superman and stuff, and Green Arrow. No Green Lantern, of course, but Green Arrow's on there because reasons. Kid Chameleon. Another interesting thing that I see on here, by the way, is there's Madden NFL 97, which I have not played, but that's an oldie but a goodie going all the way back. There's some Mahjong, Mario Andretti's Racing. What else? There's some Mega Bomberman, Megalomania. There's a couple of Mega Mans. Mega Turrican, which is a shooter platformer, which I played a lot of as a kid. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Mickey Mania and Micro Machines. Micro Machines is an excellent racing game still. And then they have stuff like Mortal Kombat 2. Ms. Pac-Man is on here. Mutant League Football. NHL 94. I forget, what's the one that everybody really loves because you can fight and just knock people's teeth out on it and stuff. Outrun works perfectly fine. Let's see. Haven't played Pirates yet, but I intend to. Like I said, these are really good because you can go back and try those games that you rented at Blockbuster in the 90s, and you don't remember them because you burned that part of your brain out. Psycho Pinball, which has, I believe, Motley Crue music in it, so I'm not going to play that. Not on camera anyway. Rambo 3, another goofy ass, really violent shooter. Revenge of Shinobi. Rystar, or do you say Ristar? Road Rash 2. Rocket Knight Adventures, which is another sort of side-scroller platformer, which costs way too much. Not that it's not worth it. Again, if you're a collector, these things, and especially with full game manuals and all that other fun stuff, they're worth that money. I'm not putting down the collectors out there, but if you're just wanting to play some 16-bit games and you don't care, this is the way to do it. They've got Samurai Showdown on here. Shadow Dancer, which is another Shinobi game. Shining in Darkness, which I'm going to start. That's an RPG, a first-person RPG where you're leading a party around dungeons and stuff. Shinobi 3, again, another one that is really hard to pull down without spending a lot of money on it. And then they've even got stuff like Sonic and Sonic 2 and Sonic 3D. The Spider-Man games, and then here's two more that are very difficult to obtain without spending, a college education worth of money on them. Splatterhouse 2, Splatterhouse 3, and I never knew that the Cool Spot game had a sequel, but here's Spot Goes to Hollywood, so I can play that. I'm super excited. Starflight is a game like Elite or Elite Plus, if you are old enough to remember those old DOS games where you are outfitting a ship and training your crew and going from place to place, selling what's necessary and toting goods around the galaxy. Starflight is a very, very, very involved game. So I suggest that you look at some gameplay from that on YouTube because I'm going to have to. Here's the aforementioned Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is garbage, straight up garbage. It's an early build of the game that somebody pirated out onto this. I know that this is not a decent build of Street Fighter. Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2, Strider and Strider 2, Subterranea, which I had on cart as a kid, Super Hang On, and then, we're getting down into the S's, but Superman Beat 'em Up, which is impossible to find anymore. There's the aforementioned Tetris. The Addams Family, which I have not engaged with yet, and then you've got Adventures of Batman and Robin, The Punisher, which is an LGN card, which means a lot. LJN is like some of the worst games in the world. They became acclaim after a while to try to get away from it, but LJN, that stink, it doesn't wear off. Toe Jam and Earl. These were also graphically acclaimed and game playing wise acclaimed games, which are very difficult to find on cart now. And if you find them in complete form, they're going to be super expensive. And then Urban Strike, the Vector Man games, which are widely available on other platforms. Wings of War is on here, which is another one I meant to play. X-Men 2, Children of the Atom was a game that I had when I was a kid on cart, but yes, I'd like to try it again. And then some of the last ones of interest here are, to me anyways, Zero Tolerance, which is a very early first-person shooter, and Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is another game that if you can find it, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg, literally. So, the only problems I find with this cart, let me turn you around and we'll talk about it. Like I said, the problems with this cart are fairly minimal. It is under $30. You can buy it on Amazon.com. And then you have a return policy should you need it. Most all of the ROMs contained on the cartridge are available from other locations around the world. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to discuss the gray areas of downloading software. But this is a way for you who are non-technical to jump back into some of the 16-bit cartridges that you loved and not have to pay through the nose in order to do that. Because again, and I will say, a lot of these games are not as good as you remember. They control differently. They require different hand strength and controller skills than you may have, or you may have had them and now they're gone. And it's, interestingly enough, I'm developing trigger finger in this is called a trigger condition in my thumb, which means that my thumb is popping and locking like a broken hinge. So I have to relax my thumb work for a little while here, which is aggravating. But it just means that I'll play some of the slower games on the system, like Starflight and Sonic Hedgehog. I'm kidding. I give it a big thumbs up. I mean, this is a great way for you to build your library back up. I've managed to secure lots of titles that I wanted to play. So if this is something that is of interest to you, then now you know. You know where I got it. You know what it costs. Let's do something different. Ah, yes, it's Transformer time again. This is one of the last Transformers, which I scored a couple of years ago at our local Ross, I believe. There may even still be a sticker on him. No, I took it off. I think what I paid for this was under $10. If you know anything about Transformers, they are stupidly expensive toys. And the thing that I have found as an adult is that I no longer desire the transformative capabilities. I really do enjoy the engineering though, so it's like this double-edged sword. I love to love this stuff, but it drives me crazy. And moving ahead, if I want to grab any characters, I am going to end up with those Red series, which are the ones that just remain as robots. Because that's honestly what I like about them. The robot part. So, this is an Autobot. His name is Impactor. You may or may not be familiar with these characters. I have the first 4 seasons, the whole run of the first generation Transformers TV shows. So that's the stuff that I'm really familiar with. But these Siege designs, the War for Cybertron trilogy, these redesigns with battle damage and stuff like that really kind of make these characters stand out, and they look good on a shelf. And I thought that this one just, the colors and stuff really drew me in. What he becomes is a tank, and has a few different effects pieces. It's a 14-stage transfer, and let's get it open, and then I'm gonna think about whether or not I'll actually transform him. I might just keep, as I said, I like the robot look of these characters, so I'm always about that. Where's the... Oh, man. See, my wife always tells me not to use knives while she's not here, and this is why. Can't be trusted. Okay, there's one. Oh, we're just going to give the Rob treatment. This one's for you, Rob. We love you. I am over packaging shots and etc. But, comes with a nice back card if you want to clip that out. And, of course, as always, it comes with an instruction booklet a mile long and a sheet that says, please don't put it in your mouth. So, remember to break down your recyclables, kids. Break them down and get them out there responsibly. Also, if you're just joining us here on the program, these little plastic ties are the bane of my existence, and I like to call them find you laters, because you end up finding pieces and parts of them later. They go flinging off into space, and know not where you land until 3 months from now when I'm cleaning or something. Find you later. Find you later. Okay, is that all of them? And always, when you're done with it, always retract any blade you are using or put it away in its sheath. Always treat blades properly. I don't mean to joke about that, and we say it here all the time on the show. Use cutting blades and stuff when there's another person in the house in case you have to be taken to the hospital. No kidding. Okay, so there is our main boss. There's all the plastic hangies. Ooh, here's some more. Find you later. And I'm not gonna cut my hand because that'll just make Annie feel validated. Also, she's would be very mad at me. It's good to have people who care about you. Don't let anybody fool you. Okay, well, let's just get rid of all this. Okay, let's take a look at you. I love the helmet, the face, and etc. on this character. He's really cool looking, and you know, these are the guns. Are the guns? I guess you gotta, right? But I don't always put guns on my guys. On my Transformers. Okay, now the question is, am I gonna beat myself? Am I gonna beat myself silly and try to do this thing on camera where I never, ever, ever succeed? I mean, I really don't. No, you know what? I don't want him as a tank. I like the figure as it is. Stuff like this, though, always kind of bugs me. If you're going to have big old construction holes in it somehow like that, try to find a way to cover it, especially for what they cost. But for those of you unaware of why a Transformer costs what they cost at the store, you know, when your kid says they want something, it's because these things each have a different way of transforming into the vehicles that they are supposed to be, and a lot of the time man, I'm getting better at this. I don't even need the instructions. Look at me go. Okay. But, you know, part of the fun of these things is kind of figuring out, with or without the instructions, how to change them into the vehicle mode. Back like that. Those obviously go like that. And then this, they always turn around.
Always turn around, but then it... Oh no, it doesn't look like anything. No, I'm kidding. The instructions are right here to do this, and at this point maybe I should just follow them. But oh, okay.
Oops. I hope that's supposed to come off of that like that.
Let's gotta go back and click into something. Okay, well, you get the idea.
I'm pretty much the worst nerd ever. It is fun to watch me tussle with things that were meant for a 7-year-old, though, isn't it? Look, I admit my failings. I fail at Transformers. I really do. I share that with a few of my other YouTube friends here. None of us are any good at them. Though it does not lower our interest factor for some reason. I don't know. But that's a little bit of what I've been doing the last couple of days here. Is that cartridge came in, and I have spent a bunch of time with it so that I was certain of whether or not I was going to say that this is a good purchase or not. And I finally got this Transformer out of its box so it can join its friends over here on the shelf, and it doesn't have to take up more airspace than is necessary. It's just that's a lot of air. Okay, that's why I don't keep a lot of things in box. That, and these things are toys. They're meant to be played with. They're meant to be fun. And if you're buying box after box after box after box, and you're stashing them away, I'm not criticizing you at all, but I would love to know from inbox collectors. I'd love to have a nice dialogue. I'd like to talk about it. We should talk about it. Anyway, if you like what you've seen here on Monkey Shine Lab, we try to mix it up every day. We try to, if one day we're showing die cast and toy hunts, then the next is going to be something of interest from around my own collections, or some sort of topic of the day that I can find to discuss. So if you're interested in what we're doing here, we really appreciate it. We would certainly even more appreciate if you would drop us a subscription here on YouTube. This is a good thing to do for all the creators you like. If you enjoy someone's content, hitting that subscribe button does wonderful things for the people who are creating your favorite content. It unlocks things about YouTube so that we can produce better content for you. So it's a little like unlocking an achievement in a video game. Help me unlock YouTube by hitting that subscribe button. If you're unaware about subscriptions here on YouTube, they're absolutely free. You give them an email, and then you can build a queue, just like Netflix, just like Tubi, any old streaming service. No different here. Just get an account and start subscribing to your favorite content creators, because it makes life easier for them in the long run. Anyway, thank you very much for coming out to Monkey Shine Lab. And we will see you again very, very soon, right here. Not going anywhere. But you thought I was kidding? I'm literally not going anywhere. Just gonna sit here and rock. I'm not kidding. go. Subscribe. Can't believe this.
Now, you people,